is going on, Jets fans? This is Luca here from Gangrene Chronicles, and today I will be previewing a Week 5 matchup between the hosting New York Jets and the visiting team, the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys come into this game 1-2-1. Meanwhile, the Jets are trying to earn their first victory under the new regime of Aaron Glenn and Darren Muji. They're trying to start off this month right. Will they? We'll see. But if you guys haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe, turn the notification bell so when I go live or drop a new video. Also, as well, share this out and comment down below. Well, without further ado, let's get into it. So we'll start off with takeaway number one. That's the Jets special teams unit. Put aside the punter, put aside the kicker. The Jets are still circling the wagon looking for a proper kick returner and punt returner. So yes, they have Isaiah Davis, but last week, if you guys didn't see, before we get into the new acquisitions, two things happened. Number one, Braylon Allen was used on a kick return, which was absolutely silly. He's now out for 8 to 12 weeks with a lower body injury. Stupid of Aaron Glenn, but that's besides the point. The guy they picked up in week 2 to replace Xavier Gipson, Isaiah Williams, not only did he fumble a kickoff return, but during a punt return, decides to call a fair catch at the 2-yard line, which did not set up the Jets offense for success. I believe they would punt that drive. But regardless, the kick return, the overall returning unit for the New York Jets special teams has been underwhelming. So they went out and made not one but two acquisitions. We'll start off with Khalil Herbert, which is Justin Fields' former teammate, former Bear, and former Colt, and also former Seattle Seahawk. I believe he was picked up off their practice squad. So in 2024, this is special teams, not so much offense concerning. Maybe he does get a few touches offensively, but regardless, in 2024, Herbert had 4 returns, 124 yards, 31 yards per return, with his longest being 35 yards, and that was with Chicago and also the Cincinnati Bengals as well. In his career, he has returned 36 kicks for 920 yards, 25.6 yards per return. 50 was his longest kick return, which goes back to 2021 and 2022, so when he had more fresh legs. The other acquisition that the New York Jets decided to make was Avery Williams. Now, not Avery Williamson. Avery Williams. He was off the practice squad. He was actually added on to the practice squad by the New York Jets as a backup returner. He has experience as a kick returner and punt returner, most recently, should I say, with the Atlanta Falcons from last year. So in terms of kick returns, last year, 15 returns, 408 yards, 27.2 yards per return. 38 was his longest return. For punt returns, 20 returns, 185 yards, 9.3 yards per return. 28 was his longest. A career kick returner, about 22.4 yards per return. And punt returner, 9.3 yards per return on the average. So the Jets are really trying to find some consistency, and hopefully that one of these guys, in Williams or Khalil Herbert, sticks to be the Jets' future returner. Shifting gears away from the special teams unit, we move to the defense, and this game is going to be probably just like the Miami game of sorts. This is going to be a tale of two of the league's worst defenses. So we'll start off with the Dallas Cowboys. The biggest headline is that obviously they're without Micah Parsons. He was traded before the season to the Green Bay Packers. The Cowboys have been an awful defensive unit. They've been also undermanned. So starting with their yards per game, they give up the most yards per game across the NFL, 420.5 yards per game. That's something the Jets should take advantage of. Will they? We'll see. Passing yards per game, they are the worst passing defense in the NFL, with close to 300 yards allowed per game. Rushing yards per game, they're close to middle, but more so below average. Rushing yards per game, 123.3 rushing yards allowed per game. And to go along with all of that, just like the New York Jets, they have very few to none takeaways. They only have 2 takeaways this year. And just to add on to that as well, some of the point totals that they've given up to their opponents, they gave up 40 points to the Green Bay Packers last week. They gave up 31 points to Caleb Williams and the Bears the week prior. And then the week before that, in week 2, was a shootout with the New York Giants, which they ended up losing. And they gave up 37 points to Russell Wilson and the New York Giants. That was probably the best offensive performance for the Giants. But regardless, it just states how bad the Dallas defense is. And this is how much a very winnable game for the Jets, whether it's on the ground or, I'll say this for the record, before I get to the Jets defense. Attack the middle of the field. That is the weakest spot. The Giants did that. The Green Bay Packers did that. The Bears did that. Attacked the middle of the field, attacked the linebackers, attacked the slot corners. The Jets need to feature Mason Taylor and plenty of more receivers, spread the ball around. This could be a really good game for the Jets offense, but moving to the Jets defense, they are one of the worst. 20th in yards per game. 330.3 yards per game allowed. Last week, should I say, was, I'm not going to say a better performance, but they still had a lot of penalties on the defensive side of the ball, which kept shooting themselves in the foot. Pass interference, penalties, this, that, and the third. So the Jets obviously need to clean that up, but right now they're middle of the pack when it comes to yards per game. Passing yards per game, they're actually top 15, which is surprising. 199.8 yards per game allowed via the pass, and allowed via the run, they're actually one of the worst rushing defenses. 135 yards surrendered on the ground. Dallas does not have a great rushing attack, but it's also worth noting that when it comes to the offensive side of the ball, and let me say this, before the offensive side of the ball, I want to go back to the Dallas defense. Their defensive coordinator is Matt Eberflus, and you bet Matt Eberflus has some kind of intel on what Justin Fields is able to do, because obviously Justin Fields was his quarterback for 2 years. Last year was Caleb Williams with Eberflus's last year with the Bears, but he has some intel on what Justin Fields is able to do. Can Matt Eberflus mask the Dallas weaknesses and really force the Jets to throw the ball downfield? Can they force Justin Fields to read a defense, recognize the blitz, do all these different things? But moving back to the Jets' defensive perspective of who they'll be facing on the Dallas offensive side of the ball, no CeeDee Lamb, no Miles Sanders, no Kevontae Turpin. That's offense and special teams, of course. Also, no Tyler Guyton, no Tyler Booker. Guard and tackle out. So they'll have Nate Thomas and TJ Bass projected to start there. Second and third year man, respectively. How do the Jets not possibly try to, how in the world do the Jets not win this game with so many injuries to the Dallas side of the ball? And I get it. Dak Prescott is a good quarterback. The Jets have a weak defense. But those weaknesses, the injuries to Guyton, the injuries to Tyler Booker, the Jets have to attack those. Because last week, if we watched the game at all, Tua was barely touched behind the pocket. Barely. The Jets' defense and the pass rush has to be better, no doubt. Moving to 3, and this is some of the offensive questions I have, and it's a little some minor notes. Number 1, how does Isaiah Davis look in the running back 2 role without Braylon Allen? I had mentioned earlier that Braylon Allen was hurt on the kick return. Not a great decision there by Aaron Glenn. So Davis will be getting more touches at the running back 2 spot. It might be Khalil Herbert at the running back 3 spot. So who knows? We'll see how that goes. Also, can Mason Taylor build upon a breakout week? 5 receptions, 65 yards. You could actually see that the Jets were trying to put him in positions to succeed. Justin Fields, at times, I say at times, was reading the defense well downfield where he could get Mason Taylor for those intermediate touches. And I said that the Jets offense needs to attack this Dallas defense in the middle of the field. Mason Taylor, 2 tight end sets, whether it's Ruckert and Taylor, Woods and Taylor, whoever, attack the middle of the defense. Same thing goes for the wide receivers like Garrett Wilson and like Arian Smith. Maybe attack downfield, draw a pass interference. Who knows? But this is some of the offensive questions that I have with the Jets' offensive unit. Also, as well, the Jets had a very good week rushing the ball last week against the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins were one of the more weaker run defenses. The Cowboys are a better run defense than pass defense. But does Tanner Engstrand change that approach a little bit? Say, hey, you know what? We won't be running as much on early downs. Maybe we'll open up the Dallas defense so we can run the football more like pass to set up the run instead of run set up the pass. But the one thing I would like to change, or I would hope for changing with Engstrand's play calling, is the early run downs, especially when the defense has a loaded, or I should say the offense is facing a loaded front on the defensive side of the ball. So the last time, if you guys remember, the Jets played the Cowboys at 0-4, and it was a home game. Let's go back to 2019. If you guys remember, that was Adam Gase's first year. Don't want to remember that era. But the New York Jets actually won that game 24-22. If you guys remember, Sam Darnold threw a bomb to Robbie Anderson. I believe that was, a 93-yard touchdown Just a great ball by Sam Darnold, Robbie Anderson deep. I think Le'Veon Bell had a touchdown that game as well, rushing up the middle. Ryan Griffin also had a touchdown that game, but regardless, the only Jet that remains from that team, Quinnen Williams. And I'd like to see him have a big game this week, but two other notes. Sam Darnold was the leading passer, ironically, in that game. He actually outthrew Dak Prescott. But in all seriousness, let's put all that aside. Will Aaron Glenn be the first Jets coach in his first year to start 0-5? I hope not. I hope it's just 0-4, and then the Jets can string a couple wins together. We saw footage of this week of Aaron Glenn talking, well, not even talking, engaging with players with the big punching glove, if you guys saw, the big glove, trying to practice ball security drills because he wants to prevent those turnovers. And that's another thing. Dallas might have very few turnovers on the season in terms of takeaways, but the Jets cannot turn the ball over. No more special teams turnovers, no ridiculous fumbles, nothing like that. You cannot continue to shoot yourselves in the foot. And I've been saying that for weeks now. But going back to Aaron Glenn, this is a big week for him. If you want Jet fans to forget about September, this is the perfect game to start a winning streak. B, just start the month of October fresh. Start it over like it's 0-0. Dallas is definitely beatable. And I'm rooting for Aaron Glenn hard. It's not for a lack of trying that Aaron Glenn, is failing so far, or at least hasn't impressed at the bare minimum. But I don't want this to be a game where the Jets are non-competitive or the Jets make some boneheaded mistakes, boneheaded penalties. And I know Aaron Glenn, wants to change the culture of this team. And I've been very negative on him for the most part. I've been very critical because most of his words haven't come out. Or I should say they haven't bared results, the proper results. But this is the perfect game to turn it all around. Miami, they did win last week. Put that aside. This week is a must-win. You want to start turning around the culture. You want to start talking about effort as fans do. They had a great effort against the Dolphins. They had a great effort against the Bucs. Forget all that. Put the effort into win. Start letting the effort bear the results. Or I should say results bear the effort. Whatever you want to say. Time to collect your first win. And you know what? I'm feeling a little optimistic on this Friday. You guys are going to be seeing this on Saturday. Let's say the Jets win 27-24. Justin Fields has a breakout game. And this is not because my coworker, his coworker's a Bears fan, just side note, said that Justin Fields was going to have a big game. But I stunningly feel some sort of optimism. I really do. Dallas, might be feeling high after, not really a tie, but they almost won versus Dallas. Green Bay. Brian Schottenheimer returning to play his former team. Aaron Glenn might just be pissed off enough. Connor Hughes, I think, said he was yelling after the game in Miami. I think this is the start where the Jets start off with a win. Will they win the next week? Who knows? But once again, it's crucial for the Jets to win this week and then build upon it, so on and so forth. 1 week at a time, 1 quarter at a time, 1 possession at a time, 1 play at a time. But if you guys haven't already, hit that like button, subscribe, turn on the notification bell so when I go live or drop a new video. More content along the way, post-game recaps. Also as well, whether depending, it could be a victory stream or a pain stream, therapy stream. Monday night, Tuesday nights, depending, I'll update you guys as well. See where it goes, because also it revolves around MLB postseason schedule. Regardless, I have the Jets winning 27-24. Let's hope they prove me right. Let's go, Jets. Talk to you later.